We read and compose in a screen-based environment, which includes a substantial visual component, where images function as language. Therefore, literacy learning demands explicit instruction in reading and constructing visual texts. Our guiding question for students in each of our subject areas is, how do we communicate with and make meaning from visual images? When students develop skill in reading and composing with images, they transform from passive observers to critical viewers and effective communicators. Visual literacy empowers students. Reading images is a constructive and recursive process. It requires active critical thinking, where text and reader are involved in a transaction to create meaning. Reading images happens so quickly, sometimes we take for granted the skill it requires. Competent image readers deconstruct color, lines, and space. Informed readers think about the influences of framing, angles and perspective, as well as size, shape, background, and foreground. That's a lot of cognitive processing. Readers must also learn to consider context, that is, reading juxtaposed images in sequence, even if the sequence isn't linear. As you can see, reading images critically requires slow, careful analysis rather than careless skimming. Readers always bring prior knowledge and experience to bear on the interpretation of images. This is why people see different things when viewing the same image. For instance, an iconic picture of a ship in the context of a visual narrative may remind one student of the Lusitania in World War I, while another student might associate the ship image with the Titanic. As you might imagine, this causes lots of discussion among students, who are then forced to revisit the text, to reconsider the image, examine context and bias, and remake or defend their original conclusions. By teaching students to read images critically, we can also help them learn about themselves and their role in the reading process. Some critical questions students should ask themselves while reading images include, what am I thinking about when I read? Am I associating love or anger with the color red? What assumptions am I making when I interpret an image in a particular way? And what are those assumptions based on? What happens when I read images in a particular sequence? How does the meaning of an image placed in between two other images change because of its placement? Once students learn to read images effectively, they can then use models or create their own original compositions to convey meaning effectively for a variety of purposes using a variety of tools.